We're going to continue on the 8 verses of training mind. So first, let's do our prayer. Homage to the fundamental teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. Homage to the wisdom warrior, Manjushri. Homage to all the benevolent village masters. With all of your kindness and love, let your wisdom's shining light clear the darkness of my ignorance once and for all. Grant me, I pray, the intelligence, the brilliance to understand the scriptures, both the word and the treatises. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. To accomplish the welfare of self and others, I give rise to bodhicitta. So we continue our study on 8 verses of mind training. Now we are in verse 6.
Even when someone I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats me very unjustly, I will view that person as a true spiritual teacher. When someone that I have benefited or helped or in whom I have placed great concerns and hopes mistreats me in extraordinary unjust ways, I will sincerely regard that person as my true spiritual teacher, without the least bit of resentment. Cherish the opportunity to practice patience. Every one of us might run into a situation like this, someone that we have helped with manpower or money, or have assisted with the study and practice of Buddha Dharma, and whom we have placed great hopes, does not react to us with gratitude, but instead harms us in various unjust ways. In Mipa Rinpoche's The White Lotus, the great biography of Shakyamuni Buddha, there are many these kinds of stories that in his causal stages, the Buddha had saved someone with the risk of losing his own life, but that person did not react to him with gratitude, but instead did terrible harm to him. Given these situations, the Buddha practiced patience and perfected this paramita. Similar cases have become ubiquitous in current society. What attitudes should we take towards such people? We should regard them as true spiritual teachers, no different from our Vajra Guru, and we should seize every one of these opportunities to practice patience. This is genuine Dharma practice. To most people, this is something very difficult to achieve. Nevertheless, we still need to reflect the benefits of being patient and put into practice as much as we can. If we give rise to anger in such situations, then all of our practice is nothing more than a sham. As is mentioned in the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, even if one I've lovingly cared for, like my own child, regards me as an enemy, to love him even more. As a mother loves a sick child, is the practice of a Bodhisattva. These are the fundamental attitudes that we should fully hold towards Dharma practice. When others harm you for no reason at all, not only are you not provoked, but you also generate great compassion towards them. You dedicate all your merits to them and view them as spiritual teachers. That is the way of a real practitioner. If you gnash your teeth with hatred and boil over with rage towards someone who has taken your belongings, that is not the way of a true practitioner and is even further deviation from the path of a bodhisattva. A story of Khenpo Sodargye. To view those who harm us as being no different from our own guru is something very difficult to do. Khenpo Sodargye shared his story during his teaching. Several years ago, I brought back a statue of Manjushri from India, but unfortunately the statue was stolen by someone who knew me very well. Since my childhood, I have always had a tremendous faith in Manjushri. What's more, it had taken a lot of trouble to get the statue through customs. Therefore, I had made up my mind to enshrine this sacred statue as my field of refuge, to which I could, with great care, make offerings. That statue had supreme blessing powers, and I would not have sold it even if someone had offered me millions of RMB. I am so attached to Manjushri. Later, when the stewards heard that it had been stolen, they asked me whether I would like to have the theft investigated or whether I would like to seek help from the police. I know who had stolen it, so if I had sought help from the police, it would have been difficult to get the statue back. However, at that time, I thought, if we make inquiries, everyone will know who is the one who stole the statue. Buddha statues were meant to benefit beings, but if this would arouse the afflictions of the thief, I'd rather give the statue to him as a present, even if I was the only one that knew about it. In the end, this seemed like the best opportunity for me to practice patience. So I declined the kind offer of the stewards, and the whole thing was thus settled.
Thank you. Any comments on this practice, this verse, and all the story?
Not really. I mean, we've been reading about this, just the opportunity to practice patience. I'm thinking about times where I feel like it's much harder to put into practice when, like even with Khenpo's story, someone stealing something that was very precious to him, that it's so hard to imagine being able to practice patience in that kind of circumstance. Compared to something that doesn't mean that much to you. It's so easy to say, oh, I'm practicing patience here and I'm being a good practitioner and I'm easily able to do it. But when you're faced in a circumstance where something very meaningful to you is being taken, or something that you feel is actually very unjust towards you, that would be very difficult to practice patience. But yeah, it's very inspiring, especially to hear a story like straight from Khenpo Sodargye and his personal experience. But yeah, that's something I'm still working on, is to regard those circumstances and people who mistreat me as spiritual teachers. It's like I said last time, it's hard to put into practice in the moment right away. It's more like something I'll look back in hindsight and be able to appreciate that experience, but
Right.
it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, that's good. Just gradually, I think one thing is also about cutting off the attachment to the things that we cherish. Like apparently Khenpo cherished that Manjushri statue very much because he was so he was going to enshrine it, and it's going to make his personal like a field of refuge, right? So it's how precious it was to him. I'm not sure I can do this, but yeah, I think from this story, what says here, he says, I'd rather give this statue to him as a present. So I think that's a very common or very good practice if somebody steals from you. So in order to eliminate the negative karma for that person, or eliminate any of your own attachment or resentment, just say, I'm going to practice generosity as well as patience, and just give it as a present to that person. So indeed, I did hear a story from a tuku in Maronga. I think did I share this story? I'm not sure in this group. I shared with somebody else, maybe. Somebody went to him and to borrow some money. And he told that person, he says, I'm not going to lend the money to you, but I'm going to give it to you as a present. So in that way, the person does not feel any burden to pay back, right? So that's and when we were in his little yard, went to see him, and I was there, and I was looking at that. He had a set of bear and vajra sitting on a bench in his little yard, and I was looking at it. I was kind of like wanted to request them from him, and then and then I dared not. And then my friend was there, and he said if I did, he would not. They took would not hesitate to give it to me, and so it was just that experience. In this verse, it's quite straightforward, and we don't need to explain. I just want to add two scriptural evidence from Shantidevas, a guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. And he says this is how he treat the people ill-treated him, right? It says, previously, I must have caused a similar harm to other sentient beings. Therefore, it is right for this harm to be returned to me, who is the cause of injury to others. And then he says again, having been instigated by my own actions, those who cause me harm come into being. If by these actions they should fall into hell, surely isn't it I who isn't it I who am destroying them? So like just in Khenpo's story, right? If he went to pursue that person and the person may get a bad reputation, it's kind of like not as bad as falling into hell, but it's really kind of destroy the reputation. So in many practice, we always talk about to protect others, right? Protect other people's assets, bodily, mind, all those things. So this is the Bodhisattva's way of life. Also, for many people in the Chinese group that I have been a tutor, they always talk about after they study the preliminaries, how they actually view themselves. Like when bad situations happen to them, they view themselves as as the original cause, like because this is just the return of the karma back to themselves. So because if we truly believe the cause and effect, the karma, and then eventually whatever we have done before will for sure return to us, right? So if we logically reasoning backwards, then we'll know whatever happened to us right now, it must be because we have done this kind of things before. Now it's just karma return back to us. So if we can think that way, it will be like really easy to deal with all the situations, right? But if we think, well, I have done nothing wrong and this is all other people's fault, then that will be difficult for everybody. Yeah, that's all I have to add. Any other comments, thoughts, sharing? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to quickly mention something else I learned from this passage was that it's one thing to be able to learn how to accept and withstand adverse circumstances, but then it's like another thing to be able to turn it into an opportunity to practice compassion and patience and actually benefit the person that's harming you. So I'm learning that it's not enough to just be able to practice neutrality, but to also make sure that I'm benefiting someone else at the same time.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, see how relevant is this? So I was a little distracted at the beginning, hearing this part of the message. But Feng's comment reminded me is a bad example. I know great majority of those practice group follows so well. I think the whole philosophy, I often say that the worldly teachings will always tell you to find the root cause or maybe the excuse somewhere else other than yourself. And all Buddhists know is to fix yourself. This is actually the only root cause for sure. If you check anything, right? Even if it's not the Buddhism teachings in the Chinese traditional culture, there is also the idiom say when anything happens, if there is an obstacle, try to find the cause from yourself. It also has that. Of course, unfortunately, I'm not saying every individual Chinese is doing so today. It is, but it's been the teaching. There were more people doing this in the old time than today. The bad example is also one over. He's still a friend. He's not exactly following. I think I used his example. If you see all Khenpo's university lectures, see all of them, you should see him because he was raising a question about chanting how many times of Amitabha mantra to be so that he could be able to reborn into the Pure Land. That was his question. I've had many times of conversation with him because he's been through many different things. He's been successfully put 2 companies listed in the stock exchange. Thus, he made a good amount of money also. But in the meantime, he spent all this money to lawyers just for a divorce. So I was trying to check why not just, as a Buddhist, check, if the root cause is you. After a couple of days, he said, I have done that. You are right? I have the root cause is me, but like my wife or, the other part, at least have some or 50%. Right? But when you do the 50-50, you actually think all of the fault are others. It's not you. There is no, this is like the traffic rule here in US, right? It's interesting if you're familiar with the Chinese traffic culture. If there's an accident, there's usually 50-50, 30-70, or 20-80. The police can do that. But in here, if you're wrong, you're wrong. Your fault is your fault. The others is 0. So anyways, just an example from Feng's comment reminded me.
Interesting.
Mm.
Yeah. I think I have seen Buddhist practitioner couples actually gets into fierce fightings. And that's a few years ago. I haven't tracked up with them. I don't understand, but well, it happens. Maybe they haven't studied these verses yet.
I think it's important just not to intellectually, but very important, even if just put one word or one teaching, one message into practice. I think that is very, very important.
Yeah, I guess still a lot of people maybe learned some theory, like cannot really put it into practice. Like you said, even if you just put one line of teaching into practice, a sense can be different. Anyhow, so this is about practice. patience when somebody else who you did favor to still come back to harm you. So view him as your spiritual teacher. And actually, Dalai Lama had a similar saying. He said, "Find your enemy and regard them as your, the best spiritual teacher." Okay, let's move on to this one. I think this is the very profound verse here, verse 7.
Secretly take upon myself all their sufferings. In brief, directly or indirectly, I will offer help and happiness to all my mothers and secretly take upon myself all their pains and suffering. No matter whether directly or indirectly, I will offer happiness and benefits to all the sentient beings that have been my loving mothers. I shall secretly take upon myself all my mother's pains and suffering. View all living beings as my mothers. The verse has taught us the paramount pith instruction on the path of Bodhisattvas. All Mahayana practitioners, no matter whether engaged in Sutrayana practices or Tantrayana practices, should meditate on and practice this pith instruction. Without it, we cannot call ourselves Mahayana practitioners. It is recounted in the White Lotus, the great biography of Shakyamuni Buddha, that Buddha Shakyamuni, over hundreds of thousands of eons, discarded self-attachment and carried out the compassionate activities of benefiting sentient beings by giving them happiness and taking upon himself their sufferings. We too should follow the steps of the Buddha. This is something we should seriously reflect on. As is stated in the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, if all the mothers who have loved me since beginningless time are suffering, what is the use of my own happiness? So with the aim of liberating limitless sentient beings, to set my mind on enlightenment is the practice of a bodhisattva. All living beings have been my mothers since beginningless time, and while they were my mother, they have loved me as much as my mother in this life has. To make sure that their child has enough to eat, they would rather go hungry themselves. When their child is sick, the mother has no appetite for food and drink, and if it were possible, she would rather exchange the cure of her child with her own life. Not only do the mothers of human beings act in this way, but even ferocious beasts like tigers and lions are full of love for their children. There are detailed elaborations on this in Patrul Rinpoche's The Words of My Perfect Teacher. Now, since all sentient beings have been my father or mother, are suffering in samsara, or are being oppressed by intolerable sufferings of the hell realms, how can we, their own children, seek only our own personal happiness? What is the meaning of such a practice? So every one of us must, with great compassion, offer all of our happiness and benefits without a trace of miserliness, direct or indirectly, to all of our loving mothers. Benefit all living beings directly or indirectly. Since my mothers from beginningless time are suffering unmeasurable pain in the cyclic existence of the three realms, I secretly aspire to take all their sufferings upon myself and quietly offer all my peace and happiness to them. His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche said that if we can give happiness and peace to others directly, this would be the best. However, if we could not, we should aspire to offer all our peace and happiness to sentient beings and to take upon ourselves all their hurt and suffering. If we meditate in this way progressively, by the time we reach a certain point, we will be able to take directly in the sufferings of sentient beings and directly offer them happiness and peace. So this is an indirect offering. If we are not now sufficiently qualified to give them peace and happiness directly, we should aspire in our heart that all our peace and happiness be dedicated to all our mother beings since time without beginning, and aspire to be of benefit to them to the best of our ability. And what is a direct offering? It is to save the lives of living beings scheduled to be slaughtered and to release them again into freedom. Now, the time has come in which life release is very much needed to help sentient beings. Not only should every one of us do life release, but we should also, as much as possible, persuade others to do the same. Among monastics, some people do life release very often, each time saving and releasing several hundreds of millions of living beings. The merits of this life release are indeed inconceivable, and the future fruits of it are also inconceivable. Life release is different from other virtuous actions. When doing other virtuous actions, if one's motivation is impure, the action only leads to very petty fruit. However, life release is different. Even if one saves and releases lives with impure motives, or even with wrong views, its corresponding result is unfailing. Life release directly benefits living beings. Therefore, I wish that each year we could release more captive animals than that of the previous one.
Okay, let's have a brief discussion before we move on. Any comments or thoughts on this?
I think it's very powerful, especially the part about intentions. So I think for that's something that beginner practitioners should take heed. If nothing else, start with this one.
Very well said. Yes, indeed. So, so this verse actually talk about take upon myself all the sufferings and also offer help and happiness to all other beings. Now here there is this notion of mother beings, right? There are two primary ways for bodhicitta training. So the first one in Tibetan Buddhism, right? So the first one is this 7-point cause and effect instruction by a teacher. So the second one is the instruction on exchanging oneself and others. I think we touched a little bit of these two practice, bodhicitta training. So Atisha, when he came to Tibet, he taught both, but he taught this 7-point cause and effect instructions publicly, but then taught only the second one, exchanging oneself and others, only to Chantongpa. So so in the text, it's nice that all sentient beings have been our mothers since beginnings of time, right? So there may be questions. So we may perceive, well, how is that possible? Why anyone else in this world, even including bugs, maybe has been our mother in our past lives. Statistically, because this I would think because the base number is so huge, we have taken numerous rebirths in samsara. The number is like, we don't know how big the number is, and we can perceive it's a huge number. Then statistically, it is, I was thinking it's actually quite possible, just by statistic. And then think about, this is Atisha's instruction. I'll just read it through. This is called the 7-point cause and effect, right? The first 6 points are the causes, and the 7th point is the effect. The causes, how we train ourselves in bodhicitta mind. The first one is to recognize all sentient beings as our mother at one time in the samsara. Second one is recognizing all the countless of the mother sentient beings. Just like said in the text, they take care of us like very tentatively. And then the third one, repent the countless. So knowing that if they don't study Buddhism, they will still be drifting in the samsara endlessly. So and they are for sure they're going to suffer. So so we do need to kind of generate the mind to help them and to pay back the kindness. And the fourth point is to based on that, so we should develop this affectionate love towards all sentient beings. And then we top of that, we generate great compassion for all sentient beings. And then we go to next level, they generate this extraordinary intention to place them in the forever happiness place, which means liberation. So once we meditate, contemplate in this sequential order, gradually we can really, if we truly can regard everybody around us as our mother, and we can gradually truly generate this bodhicitta mind and results in the bodhicitta as the effect. So so this is a very important method of practice, bodhicitta mind. This is the 7-point cause and effect instruction, and then the second one is also equally powerful. This one is exchanging self and others. So I found this text was interesting. It says, when a teacher went to Tibet, he gave the instruction of exchanging oneself with others only to Chontonpa. Chontonpa himself kept this lineage very secret. So he only give it to Kadamba, who's this Geshe Potova. And we know Geshe Potova was the master of Tangpa, right? The author of these 8 verses of mind training. So based on that instruction, he wrote these 8 verses of mind training. So this is the kind of lineage transmission of this text. So in the Tibetan word for practicing exchanging self and others is called this word tonen. It's also translated as giving and taking. So there are steps to go through, and this is like you can contemplate in your meditation session. So first, equalize yourself with others. So this is just like equalize me and all other sentient beings, the same. And then that's step 1. Step 2 goes a little further, the disadvantage of cherishing oneself. If we have so much cherishing on ourselves, attachment to ourselves, apparently there will be lots of problem. And then the third step is the advantage of cherishing others. So instead of putting the emphasis on ourselves, cherishing ourselves, we want to love others more than ourselves. So so this is one step more further. And then the fourth step is the actual thought of exchanging oneself with others. And then that actually goes with the meditation on giving and taking. So this briefly, this meditation, when you take advantage of your breathing, you sit on the cushion, and when you breathe out, you imagine all your fortune, your happiness, or anything good that you have, you want to give it to others when you breathe out. And then when you breathe in and you visualize then this black vapor, like which symbolize all other people's suffering, pain, bad luck, everything, all the things, you breathe in and take it in upon yourself. So if we have time and in the end of this session, maybe I can play a video. We can do maybe 10 minutes of practice. I find out it's a very powerful practice, but in the beginning, if people's mind is a little bit attached, they may find it a little bit scary. Say, if I want to take in other people's suffering and bad luck, will I be really getting all this bad luck? So they would have that concern. And if I give out all the good things I have, I really lose that. And so don't worry about that. We don't have that mind power yet. And once you have that mind power, you are not afraid of losing anything. So that is that a very powerful bodhicitta training. The two ways to the bodhicitta training. So in here also I want to share that story. I think in the preliminaries, the Khenpo talk about the aspiration direct or indirect offering, right? The story about Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, right? And when there was one time one of his disciples got bitten by a snake, and then he actually took it upon himself. And then the wound and the swelling on the disciple disappeared, but whether he kind of like on his in the same spot that the disciple was beaten, and Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche had that swollenness and redness kind of thing. So when these achievers can do that, we cannot do that, but we can generate that aspiration at least, right? Once we generate the aspiration and we keep training our mind, we can at least getting close to that direction. All right, that's all I want to add for this. Okay, also life releasing. This is a Khenpo says this is a direct offering. I think we all are all doing that, right? Yeah, more or less we're doing that. I also encourage everybody to do that. This really can accumulate a huge amount of merit, because each life being always cherish their lives the best. We can lose everything, but if we can keep our life, we will be willing to do that, right? So it's the same for all living beings. So when we give the life, is the best. What is that? The best is one of the most powerful generosity of giving life. All right. Any more comments or thoughts, questions?
Life release would be very similar to what we do when we do the fish release once a month, I guess.
That's great.
Yeah, that's the only thing we can do. We can't go out and release a bunch of farm animals. So
Very good.
yeah, but yeah, it would be nice to learn different methods along the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
It really kind of engage in the practice, not just learn the theory, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's move on to the next paragraph.
Pray to the Guru for more blessings. As was mentioned earlier, Langri Tampa's 8 verses for training the mind is easy to understand in its literal meaning, but indeed it is very difficult to truly combine that understanding with the real practice. The excellence of the instruction revealed in this verse lies in that it teaches us to exchange our own happiness and benefits for the sufferings of others. The exchanging oneself for others spoken of here is a little bit different from the one taught in the 5th verse. The instruction in the 5th verse is the one on the practice of the bodhicitta, but the instruction taught here is the one on the practice of the 4 immeasurables. The 4 immeasurables are the foundation of bodhicitta. If we build this foundation well, the other key instructions will be easier to master. Now that we have received this pith instruction, we should use it as much as possible in our daily lives. If we cannot master the practices of this pith instruction, no matter how much we meditate on the great perfection, all of these efforts would be in vain. They would be completely meaningless. Therefore, we must develop faith in this instruction and keep practicing it. This is the pith instruction of the practice of bodhicitta, bodhisattva. Dharma practitioners, on the basis of their own learning, meditating and practicing, should also supplicate to their guru more, and spontaneously the guru's blessings will be infused into their hearts. In this way, they will master all the key instructions of both Sutrayana and Tantrayana quickly, and will be able to carry all the manifest appearances of phenomena onto the path, and the natural wakefulness of mind will exert itself to awaken the primordial nature of the mind. Without the blessings of the guru is impossible. When giving the transmission and teachings of Manjushri great perfection, His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche said, when you supplicate by perceiving your root guru as being no different than Manjushri, you will definitely accomplish great perfection.
Okay, thank you. Any comments?
So far, so good. It's pretty self-explanatory, given what we have learned in my words of my perfect teacher.
Would you be able to list the 4 immeasurables? I'm not sure. Okay, go ahead.
慈悲喜舍, right?
Yes.
It's compassion, versus the translation, not very sure, but it's empathy, compassion, rejoice, and kind of letting go, maybe. Not sure of the translation.
Equanimity.
Oh,
Equanimity.
Equanimity.
Yeah.
And first one is loving kindness. The second one, immeasurable loving kindness towards limitless beings, right? And then the second one is compassion. Third one is, what is third one? Rejoicing?
Joy.
Rejoice or
Joyce.
Joy.
Joy.
Sympathetic joy.
Sympathetic joy. Good. And the fourth one is equanimity. All right. I thought I had found it, but I didn't. Right. And so I think Khenpo tried to put this emphasis of Guru Yoga, or we can say we need to supplicate to Guru, right? And basically it's Guru Yoga practice. So for all these teachings, we receive it from gurus, right? So and for any if we think about any of the realization, any of the experience we have, any of little bitty of bodhicitta we might have generated, or the changing of our mind towards a better person, all these actually coming from Guru's teaching. And of course, and so we should really have this gratitude. So, but that just that gratitude is not enough. And as Khenpo said, when you supplicate by perceiving your root guru as being no different than Manjushri, you will definitely accomplish great perfection. So this great perfection is called Manjushri great perfection. This is I practice how do I say I cannot say invented, right? So it's by Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche. So so if you do this practice, you have to in your mind to view your good root guru being no different than Manjushri. So this is a common practice as well. We talked about before. Just for any practice, be in preceding any practice, just do a brief prayer to the guru, and generate bodhicitta, and then show you gratitude to the gurus and spirituals. That's it. All right. And when we may sometimes because when I have a WeChat group, and sometimes people may ask, I say, oh, well, I met my guru and this on this trip and I feel so lucky. And some other people may say, oh, we're not so lucky to be directly blessed by the guru. Can you do something for us? Yeah, and transmit that. I said, well, you know, what does blessing mean? Blessing means when you receive his teaching and you feel like his teaching is so good, and you actually follow his teaching and you practice his teaching and you change yourself, that is the blessing you receive. It's not real. It's not like just by like he used the sutras and the lock on your head. That is one type of blessing. But more importantly, if we receive the teaching and practice the teaching and make ourselves making progress on the path, then that is the best blessing that we can ever get.
Yeah.
Yeah, Feng, I saw you also highlighted one line, which I think is very important, and to me is probably the most important thing when studying Buddhism. This is the blessing of the guru. Of course, as you said, so I'm not trying to make it funny, but many people would think, okay, I have to like physically like next to my teacher, or there is a teacher here locally with me. But I'd say depending, it depends. Some are so powerful, again, maybe not even the powerful or not, but the blessing could be wireless. You don't even have to have the wired connection. Like your internet, your Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, very good.
Also, I want to say here is, I've given these examples. We've met different type of practitioners who want to jump onto the path. I guess maybe because of the way that our modern education carries, we misunderstood. We thought teacher is a teacher. When I study like a couple of years, I can become that professor also. Once I study that subject and then take the exam and take that debate with my theme. But anyways, the teacher is not like that because over the merit, the power, is there. The teacher is the teacher. And there are practitioners who are maybe trying to be careful. I think there is a, people may think, at least based on the, current, lots of the Chinese understanding, there is a fear because religion can be cultish, can be something like even like drug deal, so that you don't want to jump, you don't want to be trapped. And then because of that, and then you just keep to yourself and then study. I don't know how to, because just as a martial arts as example, if you see someone playing the martial arts here and you are a martial arts, very skillful one, you can see, wow, this guy has a long way to go. Not only that, for some of them, because they're so stuck in that state, right? I have to study by myself. They're so stuck, the way is just too long. It's almost becomes, for some of them, it's almost become not possible to quickly get out of that state and study, find the right guru and find the right path, true practice. Well, I hope this makes sense. This for many things, even like arts, right? You want to study martial arts or some of the arts, it's not possible if you don't have a teacher. To teach yourself is simply not possible. I'm not saying that you can't study, you cannot study with some of your own investigation, but at some point, find your guru, join the group, and study systematically. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Verse 8, all things are like illusions. I will learn to keep all these practices untainted by thoughts of the 8 worldly concerns. May I recognize all things as like illusions, and without attachment gain freedom from bondage. May all my practices and actions in the past, present, and future be undefiled by the 8 worldly concerns, be untainted by wealth or fame, and through recognizing all phenomenon as like illusions, may I eradicate all the clinging to true existence within my mind. May I be released from the bondage of the 4 extremes and concepts and attain the ultimate liberation. Stay away from the 8 worldly concerns. If our mind is contaminated by the 8 worldly concerns, even though we have practiced virtuous deeds, the fruit of these deeds will not be excellent. On the contrary, only merits undefiled by the 8 worldly concerns are merits imbued with the Mahayana prajna. Worldly people have no intention of keeping away from the 8 worldly concerns, and that is why they cannot obtain the ultimate wisdom or the ultimate liberation. Many Dharma practitioners practice in anonymity, delve in listening, reflecting, meditating, and serve the 3 jewels diligently and conscientiously, not for fame or wealth. This indicates that they know the harms of the 8 worldly concerns and are learning to keep away from them. But some practitioners may still have a deep love of prestige and self-promotion, and this reveals that their practice is far from enough, that they need to learn more from the harm of the 8 worldly concerns to realign their objectives and to work harder. One time, a patron was coming to visit the great Kadampa Geshe Ben Gongyal. Before the patron arrived, Geshe Ben Gongyal cleaned the shrine hall and decorated the Buddha statues. However, when he suddenly discovered that his motivations were impure and that he was only trying to impress his patrons, he immediately took a handful of ashes and put them on the offerings. Later, Padampa Sangye praised that those ashes were the best offering to the Buddha in Tibet. This is because Geshe Ben Gongyal transcend his worldly concerns, and moreover, He recognized that all phenomena are like dreams and illusions, devoid of any true, independent, or intrinsic existence.
Good, thank you. So 8 worldly concerns. Remember what that is?
I do not, I will confess, I do not know if I know them all
I have it.
completely.
Okay, can you help us with this slide?
So I know it's like,
Can you see my slide?
oh yeah, okay. Equanimity, okay. Gain, pleasure and pain, fame, disgrace. Okay.
So this is just this 8 worldly concerns. So we want to be successful. We want to gain things, and we don't like failure. We don't want loss, especially in you know, money or assets, all those things, or fame. We want pleasure. We don't want the pain. So, and we want the fame. We don't want disgrace. And we want praise from others. We don't want blames from others, right? So if we find out we still have these preferences or dislike towards any one of these, that is not equanimity, and that means we have certain attachment to praise or not want to be blamed, or we have preference to pleasure rather than pain, all these. So this is just like this is just normal things that the people usually attach to. So when they are attached to these 8 worldly concerns, that means they want to grasp something, they want to avoid something, and then that means they don't really view these things as illusory, like it's said in this verse. Did not recognize all things as like illusions, and they do have attachment, and they are not free. They are kind of bounded by those attachment, right? So next paragraph, which is the last one, we're going to finish this.
If we refer to relevant instructions in the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, they are the stanzas that follow. When encountering objects which please us, to view them like rainbows in summer, not ultimately real, however beautiful they appear, and to relinquish craving and attachment is the practice of Bodhisattva. The various forms of suffering are like the death of one's child in a dream. By clinging to deluded perceptions as real, we exhaust ourselves. Therefore, when encountering unfavorable circumstances, to view them as illusions is the practice of a bodhisattva. When afflictive emotions arise, such as attachment or anger, we should directly examine the nature of these emotions so that we will not be deluded by these phenomena and that we will be released from bondage and achieve enlightenment. This verse addresses the Dharma practice from the highest perspective. The instructions given in finding comfort and ease in the nature of mind on the great perfection are exactly the instructions given here. If we recognize that our phenomena are like dreams and illusions, we will have made this human life meaningful. The Jolong text was composed by Geshe Langra Tangpa, who is regarded as the emanation of Buddha Amitabha. Sarva Mangalam, may all be auspicious. Khenpo Sodargye gave a teaching to his Han Chinese disciples at Larangar in the year of 1998, and the written commentary in Chinese was completed on June 4th, 1998.
Great, thank you. All right, could you share with us what you think about this illusion word or illusionary emotions?
I have to be honest, I still haven't grasped the concept of everything being an illusion. I'm trying to understand that. And this is, something that is my own personal goal. And I'm gathering whatever information that I can to really understand it. All I know is that in doing so, then you do achieve freedom from what binds us, and you're able to pursue the idea of bodhicitta on the way to becoming a bodhisattva. It's essential that we free ourselves from attachment, as well as understand that everything is an illusion. I still don't quite understand it myself yet.
All right.
Yeah, and so I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Because it is a very deep realization. If you do realize everything is illusory,
Yeah.
then I would be very impressed. I will take you as my guru.
Well, I understand that this is the true essence of Buddhism. I mean, it's, it's something that if I want to continue, I will continue, this is something that I personally need to achieve, to understand the concept of emptiness, as well as the concept of everything being an illusion. I'm getting there. And like I was mentioning before, the most important thing for me is to study what is written in the Heart Sutra, and to understand, Prajna Paramita. There's so many different aspects of it that will contribute to my understanding of the fundamentals.
Anyone else to share what your view about illusion? Somebody was talking.
I like the analogy of thinking life is a stage or a movie. We are pretty much like actors and actresses in this stage. In that sense, it's kind of like an illusion, and it's temporary and not permanent. Everything is changing every minute. And as long as you don't consider everything is real, you kind of step out of the scenario or the life scene. In that sense, you are not emotionally attached or angry about anything, or you didn't take it to your heart, to your soul. In that sense, I think life or all phenomena are illusions. That's my kind of superficial understanding for the moment, but I know there's a lot more to it, and I'm still learning, and yeah.
Very good. Stage movie. So there's no inherent entity, right? So
Yeah,
it's
no
like
inherent nature.
images, moment by moment. Think about if something is ever changing. So how can that ever changing thing have an inherent nature,
Right.
right? But you think the soul is not changing, or the whatever, the mind, or not the mind, but that something soul you said.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
yeah,
let's say use the consciousness.
right. That's either is called consciousness, our energy, or our continuum of consciousness.
Mind connect. All right.
Yeah,
So, but in
that's
the end,
mm,
the consciousness or the continuum, mind continuum, is also ever changing. Think about that.
yes, absolutely.
Right.
So I
So what
use
is the inherent thing that does not change?
change is the inherent. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, we say 万法. What's the same? Like everything is changing, but once you say it, it's already
It's already changed.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
So
Okay.
am I understanding, Bella, that what you're saying is we are the screenwriters, we're the director, and we're the actors. So in essence, we manifest our situations. Basically, we're manifested, and also we're in control of our perception as well.
Yeah.
How we perceive it. So yeah, it works hand in hand. Right. But yeah. So we can choose our movie manifestation.
Yeah.
Would it be correct to say that karma is unchanging? Or the concept of karma is unchanging?
I think here, let's put the change or not change aside. Maybe let's use more formally the term of emptiness. Okay? Again, emptiness to many practitioners in a different stage could even mean different things. Right? If you're really a beginner, it is okay to think emptiness just because the habitual tendency is so strong, we think Dharma or phenomena exist, truly exist. That's why to begin with, thinking the not there type of thing, right? Again, like an empty house or empty boat is fine, but hope you can quickly get out of that because that's not the ultimate. So using this, if we say anything that's constant, that emptiness is. Of course, don't misunderstand emptiness. So the ultimate emptiness is, while it is appearing or manifesting, it is not intrinsic, it does not intrinsically exist. I think it means what the topic says here, view all phenomena as illusion. If we really like to make an analogy of stage or movie, let's again use matrix, right? You are in that matrix. However, the matrix, everything is good. It has a very good, compared with other Hollywood movies, has some kind of Buddhism idea, has that depth. However, it fell into the Hollywood habit of having a God, which is a infrastructure, what's the word, architect. Here's the architect. In the Buddhism or in reality, the architect is yourself, and then the architect is empty also. It's very hard, even we think or talk, there's many steps, but when you put into practice, I'd like to use a sound that when my little one was still little, there is a sound here. I know maybe Fawn or Bella or I think many of you here are familiar with, right? There's a song when you're driving with your kids, the kids keep asking, "Are we there yet?"
Mhm. Yeah.
Any remember that song? Are we there yet? Not
Are we there yet?
not yet. That's when we practice. Are we there yet? When ask this question, of course, when you have anything like a pain or attachment, you can ask yourself, am I there yet? No, you're not there yet. As long as there is slightest feel of attachment, like this fear, pride, attachment, you like something really much, you want to grab, you care, type of thing, you're not there yet, right? This is the practice. Keep asking that question for 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 years. And I think you're more sure. I'm not there yet. I'm very close. So this is the illusion. Actually, see that as an illusion or see everything as a dream and then see yourself as the dreamer is a very, very deep practice, yet very, what's the word? It's very handy. You can practice all the time. This could be the deepest, but one of the easiest, not the easiest to achieve, but easiest to start with. Yep.
Yeah, I guess. Mm.
I'm just as confused as I was before, but that's okay.
That's okay.
As long as we are learning,
Exactly.
we will
Yeah.
get there.
Exactly.
That's why I recommend everybody study Midiyamaka. After
Yeah.
that, you'll not be confused.
No. No, what Oliver was stating reminds me of an aspect of the Heart Sutta, Prajnaparamita. So that would be crossing to the other side, right? You know, you're not there yet, but you're on the
But
voyage.
once you cross in, there is actually no other side.
Ah.
Yes.
Right. That's
Yeah.
a sin. You think you gained something, but actually there was nothing to gain. There is nothing to gain.
You will find you have been there.
All the time, all along.
That's right.
Anyways, just talk. Actually, I was translating today and yesterday for the Heart Sutra.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
I think we don't really have much time to do the Tonglen practice, but maybe we can stop recording now, or maybe let's do a dedication before we stop.
Dedication, just as all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas dedicate merit, so likewise, I also dedicate all merits to the cause of enlightenment of all sentient beings. By this accumulation of merit, may I obtain all-seeing omniscience, and may all faults be defeated, the whirling turbulent waves of birth, aging, sickness, and death. From this ocean of samsara, may I liberate beings. Just as Bodhisattva Manjushri attained omniscience and Samatambhadra too, all these merits now I dedicate to train and follow in their footsteps. As all the victorious Buddhas of the past, present, and future preach dedication as supreme, so now I dedicate all these root of virtue for all beings to perfect good actions. Uma Hum Vajraguru Pama Siddhi Hum. Uma Hum Vajraguru Pama Siddhi Hum. Uma Hum Vajraguru Pama Siddhi Hum.
Right.